Sa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Good morning, everyone. I think today we are planning to start the second gatha of the second sutta. So we'll directly go to the vocabulary of the first sutta. I hope everyone can see the gatha. So first of all, the friend, I think, whom I asked, Sri Lankan monk who passed the Abhyavansa examination, he contacted COVID-19. So now he's in the quarantine center. So I just want to inform you because he's also a great help to our class, because whenever I have doubts about any grammatical point, I refer to him. So at the moment he's safe. He's not having any symptoms, but he's in the beginning he had some fever and cough, but now he's fully recovered. But still, he's in the quarantine center. So I also want to inform the class about his situation.
Very sorry to hear that.
May he get well soon. May the Bhante get well soon.
Bhante, please send our best wishes.
Yeah, we'll be thinking of him.
Yeah. Yes, Bhante.
Okay, sure. Actually, now 26 years old. He was one of my students in Sri Lanka, actually. So, but he went to Myanmar, and within very short time, he passed all the examinations. And he have completed the Dhammacharya and the first stage of the Abhyavansa. And in the second stage, he has passed one paper. Two are remaining, but he can try till 33. So he has a lot of time to complete. But unfortunately, in his monastery, out of 500 monks, more than 300 got the virus. It was Yuama Pariyatti Center. But no one is critical. But yeah, because the situation in Myanmar is getting a little bit worse. I'll give him all your best wishes. Thank you for that. So today we'll move to the gatha of the first sutta. So is anyone volunteered to translate this gatha?
May I try, Bhante?
And also I would like to ask others, okay, sure. Before that, when we do the gathas, please try to read the suttas by yourself first at your leisure, and then try to attempt the gatha, because gatha and the sutta have a great relationship. So it's gatha should be based on the sutta. So always recommend to read the suttas by yourself before the class, because now I hope you can read by yourself. So yeah, please, Brother Romy.
Okay. So I read the gatha first, Bhante.
Yeah, gatha. Suttas, you please read by yourself.
Oh, okay.
Before you do the class.
Okay. Yada hawe patu bawanti dhamma atapino jayato brahmanasa atasa kangka wapayanti sabha yato pajanati sahetu dhammang. When the Dhamma apparently arise for the Brahmin who is ardent and who meditates, since he understands the conditioned realities, then for him all doubts are destroyed.
Right. So, thank you. I think everyone got the idea. The idea was clear, so I think he translated well. I'll come into some grammatical points when we go to explain the gatha. So gatha is normally, we know it's something, the word order is a bit scattered, and sometimes little bit difficult to understand. So here we arrange the order in this way. Yada atapino jayato brahmanassa dhamma have patu is dhamma. Dhamma patu bhavanti. So normally in the vocabulary, I have given patu bhavanti as arise or become clear. There are two meanings for this according to the commentary: arising or becoming clear. So if you go to the commentary, you can see patu bhavanti ti. This one is uppajjanti, arises, arise. Atava or patu bhavanti ti pakasenti. Abhisamaya vasena vyatta pakata honti. Become very clear in terms of attainment. So these realities arise, or we can say they become apparent, they become clear to them. So when we take patu bhavanti as uppajjanti, the commentators ask us to consider the dhamma. When we take patu bhavanti as uppajjanti, dhamma should be taken as bodhipakya dhamma. Bodhipakya dhamma. The anuloma paccayakara pativeda sadhaka. Pativeda sadhaka. So this one, in the further the commentary we can find, the commentators in the end they give another explanation after the third sutta, because after some time they give another explanation on that. That is after the first sutta, they give an extra explanation about this, which I have not written here. They say when you take patu bhavanti as uppajjanti, dhamma should be vipassana and magga. Some wisdom in vipassana and magga. It can be loki and lokuttara. But when you take patu bhavanti as pakasenti, also we can take at that time we have to take chatusatcha dhamma. They become clear. So chatusatcha also, four noble truths also, we have lokiya and lokuttara, right? So when we take uppajjanti, these are the realities that we arise in us, the qualities, the spiritual qualities. So here when you take pakasenti or become clear, dhamma should be taken as the four noble truths. They become apparent to us, they become vivid to us, they become clear to us. So there are two ways of understanding this. So we'll just focus on the bodhipakya first, like the quality, the spiritual qualities. Spiritual qualities arise, patu bhavanti. If you take these as bodhipakya, uppajjanti, patu bhavanti should be uppajjanti. If you take dhamma as four noble truths, patu bhavanti should be pakasenti. So that's how the commentators explain this. So that's why if I go back again, someone was not very clear. If you take patu bhavanti as uppajjanti, arising, so you have to take dhamma as bodhipakya, the spiritual qualities that you develop. If you take patu bhavanti as pakasenti, become apparent, become clear, pakata honti. At that time, dhamma should be chatu ariya satya dhamma, four noble truths. So there are two approaches to explain this. So if you take them as the spiritual qualities, the bodhipakya dhamma arises. Then to whom? It applies to atapino jayato brahmanassa. So normally we take these as the dative case. They arise to him. So also if you take of him, that is also not fully wrong, but normally if something, some quality appears to some Pāli, we use the case sending dative case. So to him, we normally say, arises to him. So dative is not only, main dative is when you give something to someone, the indirect object is dative. Direct object is the thing that you give, indirect object is the receiver. Receiver should be written in dative. But dative case, the scope of the dative case extends very greatly it extends. This dative case, ablative case has a very large scope. So ablative is more than dative. So here we take it as dative. So we translate it arise to them, it arise to him. To whom? Atapino, one who is ardent. Jayato, one who is meditating. Brahmanasa, one who has removed the defilements. So Brahmana is not a Brahmin, the ordinary Brahmin. We are talking about the Brahmin, the person who has removed the defilements. So Yada is when the Bodhipakya Dhammas arises to a ardent, meditative Brahmin. Brahmin here is an Arahant, they are called. Have, this Have is explained as Haveti Vyattanti Imasmin Atte Nipato. Vyattanti Imasmin Atte Nipato. So actually I was unable to get this meaning. So I consulted my friend who is now sick, Daviwansa friend. So he explained this, that Vyattang, as he gave the explanation based on his knowledge. He explained it as conspicuously or apparently. And, a question can come when we come to the because now with the first explanation, the Bodhipakya Dhammas arise in them very clearly. Have, for example, very clearly, very apparently. That can be understood. But if you take the other meaning, the Four Noble Truths become clear to him. Because Pakata, it also says Pakata. Pakata means Vyatta Pakata Hanti. Very clear, very apparent. So here also we have the word Vyatta. It seems like the Pakata has the meaning of the clearness, the vividness. So the same meaning can be used by two words. So in that, according to him, because I had no idea how to get meaning, so I consulted him. So he explained it as it is normally according to their vocabulary that they study in traditional grammar. Have is becoming clear, and also this. Then when he explained, I also understood the meaning of this sentence, because Vyattang, like Vyatta Pakata Honti. So Vyatta Pakata is also, the Vyattang is normally becoming vivid. So Imasmin Atte Nipato. Have is indeclinable. Haveti is like, this is the iti one that we have to connect it with iti. So Vyatyanti Imasmin Atte Nipato. It is the meaning of vividness. So we take the meaning when the Bodhipakya Dhammas arises to a ardent, meditative Brahman, vividly. The Bodhipakya Dhammas vividly arise to a ardent, meditative Brahman, right? Yada is when. Then we go for further explanation on this. Atapi Jayato Brahmana, right? So this is how the commentary explains. Now Atapi is, for instance, Atapi, right? Atapi, the dative case is Atapino. So Atapi comes from the ordinary, the word formation. Atapa. Atapa is virya plus E, right? But if you take it philologically, it should be in, right? But in traditionally we call it E. It doesn't matter how you, what approach you make. So this is how the Atapa is made. So if you look into the commentary, you can see Atapo Uchati Kilesa Santapa Virya. So Atapa is virya. Why it is called virya? Because it heats the kilesa. Heating means it suppresses, it destroys, or it reduces the. In some approaches, we say if someone is having kilesa, he is wet from kilesa. He oozes kilesa. So kilesa sometimes comes with this wet attribute, like a water, something like that. Sometimes we also say fire, loba is like a fire. That is another approach. So there are metaphors. So in this metaphor, we take kilesa is something wet. So what the virya does, it dries the kilesa. it dries it, and it completely evaporates the effects of kilesa. So it's a one approach. In when studying Buddhism, sometimes we see such metaphors, such approaches the Buddha has made. Fire is so Nibba. Sometimes the Magga Chitta extinguishes the fire of kilesa. That is, kilesa is taken as a burning defilement, fire. Sometimes kilesa is taken as a wetness. For instance, I have seen in some books, they explain the avidya and tanha, which is karma is the seed. Avidya and tanha as explained as the wetness of the seed or seed, which wetness indicates its life nature, that it is able to bring out a sprout. So when given the heat, that wetness evaporates, the seed is unable to produce a sprout. So likewise, we have different approaches. So here, kilesa santapana means we are burning the kilesa, we are heating the kilesas. Why is that? Here we have to understand the kilesa is taken as some kind of wetness in ourselves. So the virya is called atapa. Atapa means, another word for atapa is sun rays, the sunshine. Vata atapa, atapa. So it's like atapa we call. Actually, vata atapa. Another word is similar to atapa is atapa. Atapa is the sun rays. It comes from the root tap. Both comes from the root tap. Atapa and atapa. Tap is to heat. So this kilesa is called atapa because it heats the wetness of the virya is called atapa because it heats the wetness of the kilesas. So one who has such a virya, that is what we put with the e suffix. E suffix indicates someone who is with kilesa. So atapi, one who is with kilesa is sammapadana viryavatu. So atapa is considered as virya. That virya is also explained commentary. Some can get really confused. So to my understanding, to read the commentaries, we should first have a very deep Dhamma knowledge. Because commentators now, if we make an objective approach, this can be really condemned, like really accused, because atapa he explained as virya. Then we come into another term called sammapadana virya, right? Sammapadana. So what is this sammapadana? Student may not know. An ordinary reader would not know. He would ask, what is this sammapadana? For that, we have to have the basic knowledge. So therefore, before we come into the commentary literature, it's also important that we have the very basic knowledge in, not very basic, it's to some level advanced knowledge in Dhamma. We also study Dhamma with commentaries, knowledge. So viryavato. So this viryavato comes viryavant. Vant is one who has virya. E suffix also indicates someone who has the attribute. Vant suffix also says one who has attribute. So vato is genitive case. So atapino, sorry, this is dative case, because atapino is a dative case. So in another word, they are telling sammapadana viryavato. This comes from the word sammapadana virya want. So normally, traditionally, they call vantu, right? Philosophically, we call it want. So this comes from viryavant. The dative case of viryavant is viryavato. So atapino, here it's dative case because you can see in the Gatha atapino. So atapino explained in another word. So now this is how the word is. So words are constructed. Sometimes they go to the basic word and explain the ending word. Jayato. So jayato means here word come from giant. Words come from giant. So this is a present participle. This one is a present participle. Jayant. Right? The root is J. Jayant. This is a present part. This is not a taddita. This is not one to month. It's ant suffix, right? This ant suffix. So Jayant. So Jayato also the dative case. So they explain what is Jayato. Now that's why I mentioned then the Dhamma knowledge is important. Aramman upanijjanena lakkan upanijjanena Jayantas. Jayantasa is one who is meditating. To one who is meditating. Jayantasa. So dative case. Tassa. Here it's the to suffix because with present participles we have two dative cases. Jayato, Jayantasa. So the commentary explains Jayantas. The text gives the Jayato. So with what kind of Jaya? Jayati means you are meditating. So there are two types of meditations. So normally we have basic meditation and absorption meditation. That is at the level of jhana or very high level of concentration. So here they are telling they are meditating with jhanas. Two types of jhana. There are two types: Aramman Upanijjhana and Lakkan Upanijjhana. Aramman Upanijjhana are the meditations, the concentrations that we have focusing on a samatha object, like samatha practice. Lakkan Upanijjhana refers to the vipassana and magga. To my knowledge, Pāḷi also included. I'm not very sure about that. Surely the vipassana and magga are included. What do they that's called Lakkan Upanijjhana. Aramman Upanijjhana is they are observing the object as a whole, not these universal characteristics. They are not observing the universal characteristics. Someone can ask, how about the Asubha meditation? They are observing a Asubha characteristic. So, but still, it is considered as a Aramman Upanijjhana. I think because they are not observing the universal characteristics. Question another one can raise is, what about the Chatudhatu Vavatana? Because there's samatha meditation, which is called 4 great element meditation. In that also, we focus on the 4 great elements with attention to the non-selfness. So, but still, we consider it as a samatha meditation. So here, anyway, we Aramman Upanijjhana and Lakkan Upanijjhana is the samatha and vipassana meditation absorption. Vipassana, even though we call it absorption, it is not the vipassana. When we do vipassana, sometimes according to the commentarial tradition, we can call it a jhana, right? Even the higher vipassana knowledge, we can call it jhana. So anyway, so then a person who meditates with this jhana is called Jayanta. So Dhammas arise to him. A person who is ardent, person who is meditating. Then Brahmanas. What is the definition of Brahmanas? Bahita papassa kinasavassa. Kinasava is the Arahant, one whose cankers are exhausted. And he also Bahita Papa, who has removed the evil, right? So this is the person. So this is how the commentary explains these words, right? These words. So this is the first sentence, first relative clause. Yada atapino jayato brahmanasa dhamma have patu bhavanti. Yatho, so sahetu dhammam pajanati atassa sabha kanka vapayanti. So now this one, first we come into the atassa kanka vapayanti sabha, right? But I gave the order in a different way. I gave the atassa kanka vapayanti sabha at the end, right? That because I thought it is easy to explain thus. So we'll follow the atassa kanka vapayanti sabha. Kanka vapayanti. So here the subject is kanka vapayanti. Sabha kanka vapayanti. So here first we have to understand these two words. Atassa. Atassa means atha plus Asa. Atta plus asa. Atta is explained in the commentary as evang. Atassa, so it is explained as evang pātu bhuta dhammas. So it comes from the word. So it can be dative and as genitive because we are talking about his doubt. In the first place, the dhammas aroused to him. So we took it as dative. Now here we are talking about his doubt is getting destroyed. So atassa, assa is dative, genitive case. Atta is evang. Thus. So we can sometimes have the meaning of atta as then, afterwards, sometimes thus, right? But they are in reality, they in this context, I don't think that makes much difference. But here, so thus pātu bhuta dhammas. Pātu bhuta dhammas means now we know pātu bhavati. We know also pātu bhavati, right? Pātu bhavanti. So pātu bhuta is the past participle of pātu bhavati, right? Pātu bhuta is pātu bhavan, past participle pātu bhuta dhammas, right? So here it's a bahubbihi samasa. The dhammas have arisen is called pātu bhuta dhamma, right? It refers to the person to whom the dhammas have arisen. So of him, the dative genitive case. So the rough idea is now of part bodhipakya dhammas arose to some person. Now we are talking about that person, of that person. So what happens? His doubts will be removed. Solasa kankara ta sabba vapayanti apagachanti nirujjanti, right? So I'm just from here. I will skip all this part, and I'll go to this. So thus of the person to whom the bodhipakya dhammas arose, those doubts, sabba, all doubts, vapayanti. What is vapayanti? Apagachanti, goes away. Nirujjanti will vanishes, goes away, vanishes. So all the doubts, kanka is doubt. So now the kanka the doubt has been explained from here to here, which I colored now. The word kanka has been explained by here. Ya eta konuko bhante pusati ko kallang no kallo panyoti bhagava vochati adina. There is a sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya. Malukya, yeah, it's a sutta. I think it's a Malukya sutta. I can give you the reference. If you give me 1 minute. So this Moliya Paguna Sutta, in the Moliya Paguna Sutta, right? Moliya Paguna, I shall write it here. In this Samyutta Nikaya, Moliya Paguna Sutta. So it is Moliya Paguna Sutta, Moliya Paguna asks some questions from the Buddha. So Buddha said that the questions are wrong. The questions are wrong because he was asking, Onuko Bhante Pusati, who touches the object? Buddha said it should not be asked like that. Konuko Bhante Pusati. Buddha said, like if I remember, he mentions what touches, something like what is the reality which touches, or what is the cause of the touch? Something he wanted to ask the question in abstract nature, not in a subjective nature, because the Moliya Paguna was asking who we as a subject, as a self, who touches. Buddha wanted to in Sutta. Buddha says if you want to ask the question properly, ask it like that. So he changed the subjective question to an abstract question. So this here it's a he's asking a question, who touches. This is based on doubt at the self view connected with self, related to self view. So these are also doubts that I think the connection was lost, sorry. So then the doubts related to the self view, and then also there are, you study in the vipassana practice, when we come to the Kanka Vitarana Visuddhi, we overcome 16 types of doubts. 16 Kanka Agata. Whether I existed in the past, whether I will be in the future, where am I in the present? So these was. So I think there are 16 types of doubts. All these doubts, these 16 types of doubts, and also the doubts explained in the Moliya Paguna Sutta. So all those doubts, apagachanti, goes away, vanishes, right? So that is what say. Thus, atassa sabba, understanding it like atta, assa, atassa, thus of him, sabba kanka, all doubts goes away, vanishes. Why is that? Yato sahetu dhammam pajanati. Yato so sahetu dhammam pajanati. There's a reason. So that comes at the end. Kasma, what is the reason? Yato, since, yasma, because due to which, so we have to say yato pajanati, because yato pajanati sahetu dhammam atassa sabba vapen. So that cause and effect meaning that we have to add, right? So that also can be taken by the word evang. Yato and evang can be demonstrative and relative clauses, and also because we can see there are two relative clauses, yada and yato, right? Yada and when, then, at that time, due to which yato and tato. So yada and yato both can be given the demonstrative meaning by the word atta, right? Atta, yada, tada, yato, evang. That evang is can be said as equal to tato, right? So then yato pajana is because abhijadikena hetuna sahetukang imang sankharadikang kevalang dukkha kandadi kanda dhammang pajanati anyasi pati. Because he understood pajanati sahetu dhamma. Pajanati is explained here. Pajanati anyasi, new. Pativijji also he attained, or he understood them. He attained them. Sahetu dhamma is explained here. Sahetu dhamma has been explained up to here. So what is the sahetu? Sahetu dhamma has three words here. Saha is one, hetu is one, then dhamma is one. So these are the three words. Sahetu, first you have to make sahetu. Sahetu becomes sahetu. Sahetu means together with cause. It means conditioned. Together with cause means what is conditioned. Saha has few meanings, for instance. Saha sometimes can refer, if something arises together with another reality, we call it saha. Saha vitakkena vattati savitakka. If vitakka arises together with chitta, we can say vitakka is saha with chitta, together. If something arises together, we can call saha. Then if in ordinary usage, if someone goes with someone, together with someone, we can call saha. That is ordinary usage. In Dhamma point of view, if something arises together, like sampayutta, mixed with together, that also we can call saha. Then another meaning is sometimes saha can be referred saha asavehi vattati. If an object is taken by a certain defilement, especially this comes for defilements, it can be used for other mentalities also. If an object is cognized or known by a certain defilement, we say that object is with the defilement. That is not arising together. That is becoming its object. Becoming object of a certain mentality, we can say the object is with the mentality. Sasavang means objects of asava. Then another saha is if something is caused by something. It's like effect is made. Effect arises due to cause. So we say effect is with the cause. With the cause doesn't denote that they have to be together. Without the cause, they don't arise. So there is one kind of a relationship between these two. So therefore, saha sometimes refers to, when we say saha, it refers to the relations of cause and effect. So here we are talking saha hetu, together with hetu. This hetu is not the mula hetu. This hetu is the karana, the reason. Cause, C-A-U-S, cause, C-A-U-S-C. So saha hetu means together with hetu. So here saha, and there's another explanation of saha. There are the 4 meanings I gave. The ordinary meaning of saha, going together, being together with someone, that's the ordinary usage. Then in Dhamma point of view, if something arises together, mixed with something, that is also called saha. If something is becoming object of a certain mentality, especially the kilesas, that object is together with that kilesa. Then if cause effect is produced by cause, that effect is with the cause. And there's another very special kind of a sahavatpati. So here in that case, the color, we know the same reality, the sanidasana sappatika. Sanidasana is the color itself. So here in that also the explanation, commentary explanation goes, dasana can refer to the color, dasana can refer to the chakku vijnana. But according to the commentary explanation, dasana is chakku vijnana. Sorry, dasana is chakku vijnana. Sanidasana. So this is the extra point of view. After doing that, I'll erase it. Sanidasana, right? Because some students are, it will be useful for some students. That's why saha plus ni plus dasana. So first we will just forget about saha. Then nidassana is ni plus dassana. Nidassana refers to color, which is known by chakku vijnana. Object of chakku vijnana. Right? There is a grammatical explanation on this. Nidassana. It refers to the color. Then sanidasana comes saha plus nidassana. This also refers to the color. Right? This saha has a meaning. It's not meaningless. This is together. The sub-commentators say this is a certain usage. Even though color, we cannot say the color is with a color. We don't say patavi is with hardness. We don't say vanna is with color. That the vanna itself, rupa, we say the rupa ramana. Rupa, we don't say rupa ramana is with color. Rupa ramana is the color. We don't say patavi is with the hardness. Patavi itself is the hardness. But for the conventional usage, sometimes we say the characteristic of patavi is hardness. So that is a conventional usage. So the sub-commentators say here also, this usage is a convention, like way of saying the reality together with color is called sanidasana, and that also is the color. So here the saha has that saha was used in a special context, so it has a special meaning. So that is another usage of saha, because normally when you say saha, there are two things. You are together with something. Father is with the son. Father is different, son is different. Chitta is with vitaka, saha vitaka. Chitta is one thing, vitaka is one thing. The reality, the effect is with cause. If something is object of a defilement, the object is one thing, defilement is one thing. So when we add saha, we normally know that things are two different. But here, in Abhidhamma point of view, when you say the reality together with color, it refers to the color itself. But in ultimately, there are no two things. They're the same thing, but it has been used for the conventional usage. So the example they give is the book made out of stone book. It is the stone itself. So likewise, when we say the color of the reality with the color, it refers to the color itself. So saha as in that case, it has some kind of a special usage. So here we are talking effect and cause and effect. Sahetu means the reality, the effect is with cause, like conditioned realities, right? Sahetu is conditioned realities. It's a bahubihi samasa. So sahetuka means together with hetu. So here we can say avijja have the meaning of saha meaning. So avijjadikene hetuna sahetuka. So realities which are sahetuka due to being together with avijja. Being together with means in the third meaning. Effect is together with the cause. If something is produced by a cause, we say the effect is with the cause. Imang sankaradikang, so sahetukang, right? Condition. So then explain what is this. Imang sankaradikang, these sankara and so forth, sankara, vinyana and so forth, because they are conditioned. Then those realities, kevalang dukkha khanda dhammang, just a mass of suffering. So that was explained as by dhamma. Sahetuka plus dhamma, sahetuka dhamma. This shows these are not, because these avidya sankara are not realities of a person. They are not a being. They are just mere non-self realities. Kevalang dukkha khanda, just a mere mass of suffering. So these three words, sahetu dhamma, has been explained. Sahetu has been explained, avijjadikena hetuna sahetukam, right? Sahetung. Then that is the conditioned, the word sahetuka. And what are those? Imang sankaradikang, that are the realities. Then why they are called dhamma? Because they are just a mass of suffering. So that is how the commentary goes. Now this phrase explains the word sahetu dhamma, but it doesn't give otherwise if we would have written, we would wrote what is the meaning of sahetuka dhamma, we would make the word formation and explain like that. But this is how the commentaries were written in those days. That is for us, I would call unfortunately, the modern readers would find it utterly difficult sometimes to understand what they are meaning, because we will try to understand it in various ways based on the case endings and so forth. So that's why I said again, I would like to say, when we read the commentary, it's always better to have a good Dhamma knowledge. And Yasma explains Yato. So I think I have detailedly explained the Gatha. So Yada Atapino Jayato Brahmanasa Dhamma Have Patu Bhavanti. When these Bodhipakya Dhammas arises to urgent, meditative Arahant, Brahmin, clearly. Yato Sahetu Dhammam Pajanati. Due to which when he, like, I don't know how to translate that, due to which when he knows the conditioned non-self natures, at that time, due to that understanding, all his doubts will be removed, will go away and will vanish. So this is how we get the meaning. So if we go further, if we, for example, if we apply the Neti method here, we can have elaboration and bring all the Vipassana meditation into this and try to explain it based on this, because this shows about the Kanka Vitarana Visuddhi and also at the level of Magga Phala and also in the Udyabbe Jnana. So likewise, we can explain it in very detail if we go. This one verse can be explained in detail, and that one verse can bring all the Buddha's teachings into a nutshell, and that could be a meditative subject for one monk to attain. So that's why sometimes monks learn the basic Dhamma fundamentals, then they choose a 1 or 2 suttas. That 1 or 2 sutta can be extended. This was just a grammatical explanation based on Dhamma just I gave. But this can be extended through the entire practice. So if someone has that knowledge, 1 sutta would be enough for him to practice. That's why some monks just study the Dhamma, pick 1 or 2 suttas for their life, and they go to the forest and keep on practicing based on that teaching. That is possible to happen. So this can bring, what I want to say is this can be extended to another level, which supports your practice, right? Even this level would support the practice, but it can be explained to a very deeper level. Yeah, so this is the explanation I would like to give on this gatha. If you have any questions, yeah, before we go to the next gatha.
Hi, Bhante. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, Bhante.
Hello, Dr. Andy. Yeah.
Yes, I have let's say a few questions. So the first
Okay.
one, could you please roll it up to the commentaries?
Commentary. Okay, sure. Below which part?
Yes, it's the commentary. Yeah, but the beginning part.
Beginning. Okay, sorry. Right.
Yes. Okay. So I have one question about the word, the explanation of the word atabino.
Okay.
So here it explains as the samapadana viriya vato. So what kind of samasa is that, Bhante?
Okay, we'll try to analyze it then. So we have three words: samapadana plus virya plus 1. I think this one, samapadana virya, is a kamadharya, and arya is connected as a tadita. That's is it? This is how I see it.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bhante. And another one is the word jayato. And in the explanation, he gave 2 kinds of meditation, but he didn't. I mean, the commentators. He didn't have any linking words. There is no ja. There is no wa. So first thing is, if someone doesn't know, that you said, doesn't have Dhamma knowledge, then he may say that, the second word may be the explanation of the first word. So which means they are the same, right? Somebody can understand it that way. They can say that the lakkanu paniccanena is the explanation of the word aramanuna and aramanu paniccanena, because there is no connection word. It's just 2 words comes next to next.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And then so that's the comments. But then the question is, so how do we know this? Is it a wa or is it a ja?
Connection was lost. I think I heard your question.
Yes.
So this, what I when according to our basic knowledge in meditation, right? Basic knowledge of meditation, we can say a samatayanika practitioner, for a samatayanika, aramanupani cha lakkanupani jayena. But how do we get that meaning? I think that's based on our knowledge in vipassana and practice.
Okay, Bhante. But then somebody may say that if that is the case, does that mean that in this case the Buddha said that the practitioner has to practice both samatha and vipassana?
Yes, that is the point. I also argue on the fundamental case, because here someone can clearly argue, as you said, both the wisdoms are needed, practice is needed, but they clearly say only this one is enough. So without the knowledge on the both 2 places, as you said, someone can clearly argue that we need both the meditation. Yes, that defect, I would I'm not disrespecting the commentary. That kind of a problematic issue is found in the commentary literature. Yeah, you are exactly correct. This can lead to argument. Someone can say you need both the wisdoms. But in other places of the country, we find we get Visuddhimagga and all the places, they clearly mention only it's been explained in other places. If you type these words, you can find what is Aramanupanijjhana and what is Lakkanupanijjhana explained in other commentary literature. So then in other places, they say only Lakkanupanijjhana or Vipassana is enough. So as you said, only reading this part can lead to such an idea. That is, we cannot avoid, Dr. And I feel like in the commentaries, that is that thing that can happen in the Buddhist literature.
Yeah. And then also one thing I observe is that sometimes the commentators tend to explain more than needed. Yes, Bhante. Can you hear me? Yes, that's what I'm saying is that sometimes it looks like the commentator explains more than needed. For example, in that particular context, maybe just one, maybe the Buddha just the Buddha's intention is only one, but then he goes on, it explains many aspects as well. So that's how I feel.
Right. Correct. That is correct. So when we come to that's why I said if you look into the Majjhima Sutta, the Buddha mentions my intention was this, but the Theras, another 5 Theras, explain it further. And Buddha at that moment, other 5 are also correct. So I think that is one reason, like we, the commentators, the later teachers, detail it, even though Buddha was intending something else. But as long as it doesn't contradict with the teachings, we just accept it. So this is also fun. So sometimes some may feel this is enough. This some of the commentary explanations, I think a lot of commentary explanations, I would not say most, a lot of commentary explanations, as you said, they have explained more detailedly. For some, some would say this is more extra. I can understand it very simply. But what I felt was for some readers, such explanations would give more elaboration. But if we ask the question, what was the Buddha's real intention? In that case, we cannot exactly say, because sometimes the Buddha wanted to have a very brief, like simple explanation, but the commentators may explain it very detailedly and try to cover a huge range.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Bhante, I would like to ask Bhante. Before, when you said when we practicing the 4 elements meditation, that we also see like the anatta nature, Bhante. But isn't it when we practice the 4 element meditation, we only focus on the aspects of the hardness like that, Bhante? So we haven't go into the general characteristic as well, Bhante.
Because why Visuddhimagga gives these teachings, right? Visuddhimagga, I'll just wait. I'll just go into the quotation. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, Bhante.
At the end of the Visuddhimagga for this this meditation subject, at the end, the Visuddhimagga says what is the qualities of a person who has developed this meditation. What are the qualities? What is the mindset of a person? So in that explanation, a simile is given. That simile is a person who has developed this Chatudhatu Vavatana, right? Chatudhatu Vavatana is, even he sees a demon or a lion. He so I'll just call him. I got it. He understands that is just a bunch of realities, and he doesn't take it as a self or a person. He comes like Satta Sangateti. Hello, I hope you can hear me. Hello.
Bhante, like it's a little bit stutter, Bhante, so there is some word that I couldn't hear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Bhante, but it's a little bit like lagging, Bhante.
At the end of that, actually, I already made a complaint about this connection, and most probably I will get a antenna free. I'm hoping next week it will not be like this.
New modem, Bhante.
No, it's the same modem, but with the antenna, like taking the signals more powerful.
Oh, yes.
So this is what the Visuddhimagga says. Visuddhimagga says, Idancha panna chatudhatu vattanang anuyutto bhikkhu sunyatang avagahati satta sanyang samuggahati. Right? So a person who has completed this chatudhatu vattana removes the self-view, self-idea. So satta sanyang samuhatatta. So the self-view is removed from. Removed means temporarily. Vala miga yakka rakka sadi vikappang anavajjamano bhayaberava saho hoti. Even he sees a yakka or a demon or a lion or a tiger, he doesn't become afraid because he understands this is just a bunch of ultimate realities. So therefore, that's why I mentioned, and also if you go to the Chatudhatu Vattana in the beginning, the simile was given from the Chatudhatu Vattana in the Satipatthana, Mahasatipatthana. So therefore, even though it's samatha, according to explanations, the non-self attribute is not, it is but at the same time, the self-view. Sometimes meditation is some meditation. The main focus, not the divinity of the object. It is the loving kindness. The karuna is the compassion for feature. If you talk about asubha, it's not the sorry, I think there was a huge dropout.
Yes, Bhante.
I hope everyone can hear me.
The last part of the Bhante's explanation, I couldn't hear the last part of Bhante's explanation from Bhante said the beginning of Chatudhatu Vattana.
Yeah. but yeah. So the Satudhatuvāttana is the beginning. It's explained according to Satipatthana Sutta, based on Satipatthana Sutta, and also if you go to the Magga instructions. So it clearly says that you may not contemplate Pāඨavi as anatta in the Dhamma Manasikara, but you are focused on hardness, but the idea that the non-self it is found. That's why you get this final attainment. The qualities of your attainment are that you are without a self view. So when we talk samatha, it's not only focusing on an object. There are some samatha relation subjects that we have to develop an extra quality. For example, if you talk the metta, loving kindness, it's not the vividity of the object, vividness of, not the vividness of the object. It has to be developed. Real loving kindness has to be developed. When we take okay, sorry again. I think the connection is getting weaker and weaker. So in samatha meditation, in some samatha meditations, we are not only focusing on the object, we have to develop some extra qualities. Like in loving kindness, you have to develop not only the vividness of the object, you have to focus on develop the loving kindness. In karuna bhavana, the compassion feeling. In asubha bhavana, it's not only the clear should be felt to the mind. So, but when you come into the kasina bhavana, there's no such extra quality developed. It's the vividness that the object has to be seen very clearly. That is what is expected in the kasina bhavana. And in anapana also, we don't develop an extra knowledge other than the sati. Like you are always focusing on this, the focusing on the breath. So kasina bhavana and anapanasati bhavana, unless the concentration and mindfulness, which is necessary for any meditation subject, we don't develop an extra quality. But when you come to metta, karuna, mudita, upekha, asubha, we have to develop these extra faculties like loving kindness, knowing the repulsiveness, compassion, become economous, becoming the equanimity, becoming having the sympathetic joy. And when you talk about the ahara particular, you have to see the repulsiveness of the food. But when you come to Chatudhatuvāttana, another non-self. So these are the extra qualities that you develop with this. So that's why I mentioned in Chatudhatuvāttana also the anatta characteristic is known, but when we come to vipassana practice, anatta is known in various ways. Knowing something in its intrinsic nature is also an attribute of anatta. If something has its intrinsic nature, it is also anatta. If something is made out of cause, is produced by cause, then it's also anatta attribute. If something is impermanent, suffering, that is also anatta attribute. So anatta contemplate all these aspects with the development of the vipassana wisdom. But in Chatudhatuvāttana, we are just focusing on the anatta quality by focusing on the mere attribute, mere characteristic. So if something has a characteristic, it says that it cannot, and you cannot cause this to be up. In Chatudhatuvāttana also yogi during the samatha meditation practice. That's how I understand it, based on these evidences.
Okay, Bhante. It's really clear now, Bhante. Thank you very much.
Any further questions, Sally? Okay, so we have another two suttas on this. This sutta is very short. So is it okay? We will take the sutta number 3 to the next day. We can. I think we can finish this sutta because it's a very short commentary. If anyone is volunteered to translate, we can. I think within 2 minutes we can finish.
Can I try again, Bhante?
Only few words are different. Yeah, brother Robin, can you do it again?
Okay, Bhante.
You try.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. When the Dhamma, the Bodhipakya Dhamma, apparently arise for the Brahmin who is ardent and meditative, since he
Now, please
understands.
read Pāḷi.
Oh, sorry. Okay, Bhante. Yadahave patubawanti dhamma atapino jayato pramanasa atasa kangka wapayanti sabha yato kayang pacayanang avedi. When the Dhamma apparently, the Bodhipakya Dhamma apparently arise for the Brahmin who is ardent and meditative, since he understands the destruction of the non-arisen causes, all his doubts are destroyed.
Okay, thank you. It's
Thank you, Bhante.
nice translated. So we'll go to the how to understand the Gatha. Yada have hatapino jayato brahmanas dhamma patu bhavanti. You can bring have also. Better to bring it here. So Rahant, clearly, yato destruction or the absence of the causes, non-arising or the destruction of the causes. Avedi is knows. So avedi is past tense of knowing. Atassa, then or due to that, is previous gatha. If you go back, you can see atassa kankavapayanti. Right. Sorry. Here. Atassa sabba kankavapayanti. All doubts go away, all doubts vanish. Only difference is sahetu dhammam pajana. Right? Instead of sahetu dhammam pajanati, paccayanang kayang avedi. So I think I don't need to explain all the others because they have been explained already. Only this part is necessary. Yato, so, paccayanang, kayang, avedi. Others are equal. Right? This is the short meaning. Yasma avidjading paccayanang anupada nirodha sankatang kayang avedi anyasi pativijji. This is the place that we have to understand. Because avidjadinang paccayanang. So paccayanang kayang. This is the word. What is in bold is you see in the sutta. Paccayanang kayang avedi. Right? So we have to put a so, the person, the Brahmin, right? What is Pacchaya? Avijjadina, Avijja and so forth. Because Avijja is Kayang. What kind of a destruction? What vanishing, Kayang, like non-existence? Anupada Nirodha Sankatang Kayang Avedi. Avedi is Anyasi, no. Pativijji, he understands by himself. Directly knows it. We have two types of Kayang. Actually, we have some teachers say three types of Kaya, like Kanika Kaya, Santati Kaya, and Anupada Kaya. Another word for Kaya is Nirodha. They are identical. So another word for Kaya. Yeah. So we have three types of the Kanika. Kanika means momentary existence. Chitta arise and pass away. Rupa arise and pass away momentarily. So after that passing away, the Rupa Chitta doesn't exist. That is an absence of the Rupa or the Chitta. Then the Santatikaya is at the moment of death, our Namarupa passes away in this life. Or sometimes when we eat food, the energy generated by that food vanishes after some days. So that is the ending of a Santati, generation. Aharaja Rupa generation finishes. Kamaja Rupa generation finishes at the death. Utuja Rupa generation finishes when the weather conditions change. So this is called Santatikaya. So generation ends. After that generation ends, that generation is no more. That is also just a mere absence. So Santatikaya and Kanikakaya are just panyati, that just the mere absence of a reality or a generation of realities. Anupada kaya means the non-arising of the realities that would have happened. For instance, if the avidya and sankhara remains in us, sankhara and avidya remains in us, there are two types of anupada kaya of the suffering, anupada kaya of the causes. If you talk about anupada kaya of suffering, when the avidya and sankhara, avidya and tanha are with us together in uneradicated, we are bound to be born again and again. We are bound to get the suffering that is going to come. So we are bound with that suffering. So that suffering is also considered as a one type of an existent. So that's why Buddha mentioned in Nakasika Sutta, the remaining suffering of a sotapanna and the eradicated suffering of a sotapanna. So that is considered as anupada upada. It has not arisen yet, but bound to arise. So something which is bound to arise also considered as existing in some way, not in the sense of upada titibanga, because we are not free from that. So that suffering which was bound to happen would extinguish before it's arising. So it is all the non-arising of the suffering that was to arise. Then we come about the paccaya nirodha. Paccaya anupada nirodha is now avidya and tanha remain in us in a latent tendency. The level of latent tendency, at the level of latent tendency, we don't call it as it has arisen into upada titibanga. It is not in these three stages. It's a potency. It's a potential in ourselves. So this potential is considered as anupanna, not arisen yet. Sometimes this potency is called as upanna, but upanna not in the sense of upada titibanga, not has come into the upada. It is possible to arise. Based on that possibility to arise, we call it upanna. It is called anupanna because it has not arisen yet. It is following the mind stream with the possibility to arise. So we call it anusaya. So the latent defilements have three names according to our literature. And we can find these in different places in the commentaries, and also some words are given by the Buddha himself. Anusaya, anupanna, because they have not arisen yet. They have arisen in the past, at that level, but in the future they are possible to arise. So we call it upanna also. Anupanna, upanna, both words are used for that. But that upanna is possibility to arise, not the state which has arisen. Then anusaya, they are following us, finding an opportunity to arise. So the anupanna nirodha refers to the anusaya defilements, because it can be given three names: anupanna, upanna, anusaya, right? So the latent defilements. So if I write this here, can have three names: anupanna, that is because it has not arisen. Upanna is, we have to say, possible to arise. Upada raha we call. Right, possible to arise. Then anusaya. So now this term anupanna nirodha of paccaya, of the causes like avidya and so forth, especially avidya and tanha I'm talking about, right? Avidya and tanha talking about. In these latent defilements, here we are not talking about the upanna as them as upanna. We are not talking about them as anusaya. We are talking about the anupanna. Anupanna nirodha means abandoning the latent defilements which have still not arisen. These are also latent defilements, but we are using only this word, latent defilements that have not arisen. Right? That upanna latent defilements are defilements, they are possible to arise. Why they are called anusaya latent defilements? Because they follow our mind stream, finding opportunity to arise. So anupada nirodha right? Avijja and tanha anupada nirodha is the latent defilements which has not arisen, passes away. Then of the other conditions like vijnana, nama rupa, vijnana become a cause for nama rupa become a cause for salayatana. That is when about the how to say, suffering is remaining realities, mundane realities. So that is as when the avijja is present, our actions would become sankhara. Right? Avijja is present, our actions would have been sankhara. In this life, whatever actions cause within myself, latent defilements are within me. So when I remove the avijja and tanha, this anupanna nirodha, what happens? The sankhara that would have arisen would cease before they are arising. Cease means the kusala akusala karmas would not happen. It doesn't mean the chitta doesn't happen. Chitta arises as a kriya state without the ability to give results, but the kusala akusala attribute will not be there. So the kusala akusala states, the sankharas, would cease before they are arising. So the remaining mundane realities, we call it anupanna. The remaining mundane realities that would arise if the causes prevail are called anupanna dhamma. So these anupanna dhammas would cease. So they are called anupanna. So what are these? Now, when we are doing a dana, at that moment that chetana is uppanna chetana. So don't misunderstand with this classification. This is a different classification. So at that moment when we are doing a dana, that is uppanna chetana. But that we are supposed to accumulate as anupanna chetana. So if you attain the sankhara here, eradicate the avijja here, the sankharas that would have arisen otherwise, they cease. They are anupanna sankhara. They will not arise again. So if they don't arise, namarupa vijnana would not arise. So if the anupanna vijnana ceases, anupanna namarupa ceases. So likewise, for the other realities also, this is a anupada. So the anupada nirodha. So the word anupada nirodha, avijjadinam paccayana anupada nirodha has to be understood in two ways. Anupada nirodha of the kilesas, anupada nirodha of the other realities. This also, if I explain it, it will become more and more detailed. For the sankhara, there are two types of anupada nirodhas. The non-arising of the sankharas of an arahant in the future, that would have arisen, because arahants doesn't accumulate new sankharas. And also the inability of the past sankharas to give a new rebirth. These are two anupada nirodha of the sankhara is explained in according to the Udāna commentary itself. So these are the anupada. So I just wanted to elaborate a Dhamma point on here. So anupada nirodha, kaya is not just, don't understand, it's like sometimes we say this something produced by cause, when the causes are not there, it passes away. So it feels like sometimes someone understand now because of a cause something arises, when the causes are not there, it passes away. No, this is against the Dhamma actually, according to the Abhidhamma. Something which has arisen automatically passes away. There is no necessity. So for example, if we see a ghost, or if we see a pillar in the night, and if we misunderstand it as a ghost, fear will keep on arising in us again and again and again. So whatever the fear arises, momentarily passes away. That is the nature of Sankata reality. But somehow a person goes near that pole with the light, and then we understand this is not a ghost, this is just a pole, this is just a wooden stick. So what happens? With this understanding, our fear is removed. So what is the fear which is removed? Not the fear which has arisen, because the arisen fear momentarily passes away, but as long as the ignorant is prevailing in our mind latently, the ignorance is prevailing, what happens? The fear keeps on arising. So with the understanding what has happened, the fear that would have arisen if that man didn't go, for example, I started to become fear from 6 p.m. and I was afraid till 7, and man went near the pole at 7. So what happens? If that man didn't go with that light at the 7 p.m., the fear would arise till 8, 9. It would keep on arising. But because the man went near the pole with the fire, what happens? The fear that would have arisen after 7 p.m. is not arising anymore. So that is the called Anupada Nirodha. So when Buddha says, when the Arahant says something arises due to causes, due to the removing of causes, the effect is no more. That is talking about the effect that would have arisen if the causes had prevailed. So when we say Paccayanang Kayang, it's not like, for sometimes we think now, like conventionally we feel like the reality exists, and when the causes are no more, it's not going to exist. But in terms of Abhidhamma, it's momentary existence is there. So therefore, according to Abhidhamma, when we say because of the absence of causes, the reality, the effect is not happening, that those are would have arisen, those effects are not happening. So this is what Paccayanang clear. The remaining as the same meaning with the what we have studied in the previous Gatha. So this is the part I would like to explain about the Paccayanang Kayang Avidi. I think you can have one question or two short ones before we conclude the class. Okay, so it seems no question. So shall we call it a day, Sally?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay. So
Thank you very much, Bhante.
yeah. So
Thank you very much, Bhante.
And
very, very wonderful,
all
Bhante.
the best, and as much as possible. So please be prepared and try to translate the gathas. So wish you all the best. See you.
Yes, thank you, Bhante.